this memoir/diary to be made public. Out of protection for certain parties and their potential criminal activity, some celebrities, performers, and events have been represented with X's in this book. Due to their highly explosive nature, at some point in the future, this information will be revealed to the public. Regarding Kim's sudden death and the mysterious illness of Al B. Sure and Jamie Foxx, evidence does exist that points to foul play and/or poisoning. God bless Kim Porter and all of Sean Combs' victims, both male and female. Chapter 1. Introduction. Soon after high school, I started landing modeling jobs. I couldn't believe it. It was all happening so fast. I met my husband, father of my oldest child, and one of my oldest friends in life, I'll be sure. It was a whirlwind romance. I was 19 when we were married, and no, it didn't work out. Al is still one of my best friends to this day. Our son Quincy is such a talented and wonderful young man. At the time, I had no idea my relationship with Al was going to introduce me to the man I would spend the better part of my adult life with, a man whom I would love and cherish, but eventually fear and hate. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I will say, although I knew what was going on, I turned a blind eye many times. Here, I have to tell the truth. Unfortunately, because deep down I know everything that was happening, but I lied to myself a lot. He was so charming, a wolf in sheep's clothing, a devil, and I fell for it. This story must be told despite the fact it will hurt my children. I cannot hide it any longer. Sean Combs must be stopped. Chapter 2. Humble Beginnings. I was born to loving parents Jake Porter and Sarah L. Porter in the Peach State of Georgia. All through Columbus High School, where I graduated in 1988, I knew I was going to be famous. In the 10th grade, one of my best friends, Tina, said to me, "You won't make it here in Georgia." I knew if I really wanted to be famous, I would have to leave my hometown and my home, Georgia. That conversation was so important as I look back now. It changed my life. I met Al while I was working in the industry. He was so dope and charming, and I had such a crush on him. We were married before I knew it, and Quincy was on the way. But I was young, and it just felt like it wasn't going to last. It was a little heated between us after we separated, but we got past that quickly. He is just a super dope guy and an amazing father. Though we separated, we are forever bonded through Quincy. Thank you, Al. I will always love you. When I met Sean, he was cool. I didn't think much of him at the time. He was just another guy at the label. Uptown was huge, and we were all living our best life. But Sean continued to lay on the charm, and before I knew it, we were dating. As a young single mom at one of the hottest companies in the world, life couldn't get any better. Then it did. My boyfriend was getting even bigger. He and Clive would hang out a lot, but I didn't think anything of it. I mean, that was his boss, and he was doing things bigger than most men dare to even dream. Then it happened. Okay, I was a little bit of a freak. I really enjoyed myself with my partner, and toys are one thing. But I never imagined having a man that I was dating asking me to use a toy on him. The first time, he said he just wanted to experiment, try something new. I was grossed out, but he kept begging. He said it would only be this one time, and he was just curious. I was only 20 at the time. I said, what the hell? I hated it, he bled from it, and there was shit on it. I left him alone after that. Chapter 3. Second Chances. Sean kept reaching out, and I kept ignoring his calls. Eventually, in a few weeks, we ran into each other at an event. He came over and sat next to me. We were cordial. He flattered me by saying, "You look amazing." I replied with a simple, "Thanks, Sean." I tried to get up to leave, but he pulled my arm. As I turned to him, he looked deep into my eyes and said, "Look, what happened between us was weird, but I really care about you. Can we?" He paused, and I tried to use this as my attempt to escape. I pulled my hand back and said, "Sorry, Sean, I have to go. Please, I think I'm falling in love with you. Can we talk?" My breath was taken away. Did he say he loved me? It was so fast. I wasn't aware of this as his manipulation tactic. Not yet. God, I was so young, so naive. He continued, "Let's just have dinner." And I fell for it. 2 days later, we were out for drinks at a lounge in Lower Manhattan. The place was nice. Sean was really coming up and pulling out all the stops to impress me. He pulled the chair out for me to sit. Back then, he was always a gentleman. He smiled and said, "Look," as he sat across from me. "I hated it, and I never want to do it again. Give me another chance." Over coffee the next morning, I decided to give him another chance. For the next year and a half, things seemed pretty normal. It was fun. Things were going great, and we were living the dream that I dreamt about throughout my youth. Sean and Clive were working on Bad Boy, and he had his first couple of artists. He picked up Craig Mack, then some rapper from the West Coast called Notorious B1 to help Chris develop. He was collaborating with the biggest names in hip-hop to make it happen. Things could not be more amazing. Then he asked me to do it again. It was insane. Sean said, "Baby, I can't stop thinking about it." "What the hell are you talking about?" I responded. Sean continued, "I just can't stop thinking about that night. It was amazing. Can you screw me one more time, please?" I became infuriated. "Why don't you go to Clive? He is the one screwing you, isn't he?" Then Sean hit me. This was the first time, but he slapped me hard. Before I could form words, he began to beg. I'm sorry," holding my cheek where he hit me. I turned and ran off. That should have been it, but I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. He sent flowers and a bunch of expensive gifts. Then we bumped into each other at another industry event. He sat down next to me. This was deja vu. Sean started, "Imagine running into you here." "Get the fuck away from me," I forced out. He became more serious as he said, "Look, baby, I'm sorry." But I just glared at him. "There is nothing you can ever say to me. Nothing." After an awkward silence, he finished, "You know I love you. I love your son. He's my son. I don't know how to fix this, but I'll do anything. I'm sorry." Shit, he can be so sweet. Here we go with the love thing. This time is not falling in. He was great with Quincy, and to be honest, despite everything, I missed him. As he stood to walk away, I remember hearing myself saying, "Call me later." What the fuck is wrong with me? Chapter 4, Forgiveness. Sean arrived with flowers in hand. He wanted to see Quincy. He was so good with him, and Quincy ran over to hug him. I felt my heart melted. He asked Quincy, "How you doing, Tiger?" Quincy looked so innocent when he responded, "I'm good. I miss you." Sean's response sounded genuine. "I miss you too. We'll hang out tomorrow, okay?" "Okay." Sean gave him a little love tap on the butt. "It's bedtime." Quincy replied, "Okay, good night," as he turned to head toward his room. Here was the man I fell in love with. But what was I thinking? Shit, not only does he want butt plugs, he slapped the shit out of me. So why am I still talking to him? They say that love is blind, but is it stupid too? As Quincy left, Sean looked at me and smiled. "Baby, let's go have some fun. The babysitter is on the way. I just want to show you a good time." I was so mad at myself for melting as I said, "Okay." We sat on the couch laughing, ingenuously having a good time when the doorbell rang. The babysitter had arrived, and so we left. As we exited the house, a big man climbed out of the limo and opened the door for us. He wore a sharp suit with a gun noticeably tucked under his arm. I thought to myself, he couldn't have made it invisible, or did he want me to see it? Despite my reservations, Gene was a sweetheart. He was very courteous and polite. As he tipped his head and said, "Good evening, ma'am," Gene drew a smile out of me as I responded, "Hello." Gene and I would see each other a lot after this day. Chapter 5, Sean Kneels. The year passed, and thankfully, we didn't have many bad arguments, although Sean was strangely getting into voodoo. He would put curses on people, and I wasn't sure how to respond to that craziness. My problem as a single mother was I wanted to be married. He always had excuses and delays when it came to committing to marriage. His label was blowing up, Biggie dropped, and it was just about over. He also signed Mary J. Blige, and of course, when I found out he slept with her, we fought. He claimed it was a mistake, and my stupid ass took him back. Again. Sean asked me for a threesome with her. At first I was mad, but Mary was beautiful. It was our first threesome, and I loved it. Mary was sexy. I would not be doing this a lot, but it was so hot. I was young, and exploring my sexuality was enticing. Over the years, we brought other women into our bedroom periodically, and we were happy. That is until one day I came home to a situation that went from awkward to a nightmare. Quincy was with the babysitter, and Sean was sitting with Al B. Sure at the dinner table. I had a child with Al, and Sean was the father in Quincy's life. The awkwardness for all of us being together had dissolved a long time ago, but it was still weird that they were here, in my home, together, alone. I sat down and we had drinks. It was fun. The conversation was cool until it wasn't. Al was a little loose after a couple of drinks. I remember him saying, "It's still weird seeing you with my friend, but you're happy, so I'm happy for you guys." Sean responded, "Thanks, man. Me and you, we've shared so much." Al replied coolly, "Word." The conversation took an odd and awkward turn when Sean said, "We all been together sexually, but not together." I was shocked for a moment. As quietness lingered in the room, I asked, "What do you mean by all together?" Al shifted uncomfortably, but Sean didn't hesitate. "You know how we sometimes invite other people into our bed?" I couldn't believe it. "Oh, hell no, Sean. This is my son's father." "Al, say something." What Al said was mind-boggling. "I don't know, it could be kind of hot. I miss you in that way." Although I couldn't believe Sean would do this, the truth was I still cared about Al, and this could be very hot. I just didn't want it messing up my relationship, and if things became awkward, how would it affect Quincy? So I asked, "Are you both sure?" I imagined both of them inside me. I knew this would be awkward sexually. There would be some bumping of genitals, but what happened next, I couldn't have imagined in my wildest dreams. Al, blank, 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 blank. I couldn't believe it. I stood there in shock. But when Sean, blank, 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 I ran out the room. This was too much. I couldn't. Sean called after me, "Oh, come on, Kimmy." They didn't chase after me. They blank, blank, blank. I couldn't get the image out of my mind. I couldn't be with Sean for a while, but that wouldn't be the last time I saw Sean in a compromising position. Not by a long shot. One day I found the vault where he kept all of his encounters with men. Yes, he kept a record of it, but that's for later. Chapter 6, Pop. Biggie took over East Coast hip-hop, and Sean was the brilliant mind that orchestrated it. He hired people to teach Chris how to flow and write his lyrics. He hired the best producers to do the beats, although he took credit for them, and the music was unstoppable. At this point, Sean was sleeping with all the power players, and everyone that wanted to do music wanted to be a bad boy. Sean wheeled and dealed in a way that would have been unthinkable to many. He slept with the guys that really controlled the music to stay on top. A lot of the names average people have never heard of. Those are the guys that make the decision on who is winning and who is not. He hosted parties that were just a fancy name for orgies, and everyone wanted in. When I met Tupac, Sean and I had an open relationship, and yes, I slept with Pop. Shit, he was just sexy. Sean didn't mind. Well, not until he tried to get Pac to join both of us. Pac was not good with that. This is where the relationship between them became strained. Tupac wasn't going to accept Sean's advances. Pac wasn't gay, and he was pissed about the advances. We were all in Sean's house. I was drinking, they were smoking, and everyone was just relaxing. Sean came in on what I'm sure he would call a smooth approach. "My baby is bad, isn't she?" Pac threw me a sly smile. "Hell yeah." I felt myself blessed. Sean is now in full swing. "You think you hit it better than me?" I couldn't believe he disrespected me that way. I was not playing with my response. "Sean, what the fuck?" Pac came to my defense. "Damn, bro, you ain't got to do the sister that way." Tupac appeared upset behind Sean's words, but Sean went in for the kill regardless. "I think my dick's bigger than yours. I bet I can make her come faster than you. What's up?" Pac was appalled. "What the fuck are you talking about, nigga? I ain't trying to run no fucking train." Sean continued. "What you scared of? Let's see who fucks better. Let her be the judge." Yes, at this point, we had been inviting others into our bed for a while, but I'm not used to and will not stand for disrespect. I wasn't the only one upset. Pac shouted, "Nigga, You talking about pulling your fucking dick out? Sean was undaunted. What you scared of? Tupac simply left. Things were contentious since then. The two could not be in the same room. Pac avoided me as much as he did Sean. When they did bump into each other, the tension was palpable. It felt like blows could be thrown at any moment. Months passed with only the tension between them. It was uncomfortable, but nothing life or death. Then one day, we were at the studio. It happened. I walked into Sean's office, and he was having the conversation. Sean sat across from Jimmy Henchman. Pac don't leave that fucking studio alive. I don't think I was supposed to hear it. I continued as if I didn't. Hey, Sean. Good morning, Jimmy. They didn't seem to think I heard anything. I'm ordering breakfast, smiling. Sean replied first, let me get eggs, sunny side up, with grits and an orange juice. I could see he was hungover. Good. I didn't want him knowing I know anything. If he just put a hit on Pac, knowing something could be dangerous. Jimmy, apparently not hungry, said nothing for me. As he stood to exit the room, he said to Sean, let's make it happen. Then nodded to me and said, Kim, always a pleasure. With a wink to me and a nod to Sean, he turned and walked out. Jimmy was a part of our intimate circle. I went on as if nothing was happening. I'll make the call now. I smiled as I left, hoping I wasn't white as a sheet. I wasn't in the studio the night Pac survived being shot, thank God. From what I understand, Sean and Chris saw Pac at the studio after he'd been shot and did nothing. The way God works, after being shot, Pac made it to the elevator and tried to escape, but it stopped at the floor Sean and Chris were on. When the doors opened, they saw him lying on the elevator floor, riddled with bullets. The fact they didn't call an ambulance, although they saw Pac lying there swimming in a pool of his own blood, would be all the evidence Pac ever needed. He, of course, assumed they placed the hit, and Tupac is a soldier. This is not something that will be unanswered. Tupac didn't do well. He lost a testicle, but he survived. It was orchestrated, and Sean Puffy Combs was the orchestrator. Chapter 7. Threats. At this point, I knew I had to get away from him, but I was scared. Is he going to take my life if I try to escape? One February evening, I thought I found my opportunity at dinner after an event. We were at a ritzy restaurant in a private booth. It was an exclusive setup. We were alone, but we were in public. Perfect. Sean was on the phone talking to an unknown listener as he sat down. His words on the call will be etched in my mind forever. We're going to release Who Shot Ya now. He waited for a response, then went on to say, of course they're going to think B.I.G. was talking about Pac. That's the whole fucking point. Nobody would give a fuck about a diss track against LL fucking Cool J. Do you know how much money we'll make with this kind of rap beef? Niggas battling after someone really got shot? This may not be the best time for this conversation. Sean was finishing up. We'll drop that shit tomorrow. He listened into the phone and then responded, there's gonna be blood in the street. Niggas miss. Pac's alive. Let's capitalize on that shit. When he responds, it's just gonna mean more money. He turned around and looked at me. Spoke back into the phone, I'll call you back. Then hung up and spoke to me. What's wrong? I tried my best to give a fake smile at what I'd heard. After all, me and Pac were intimate. I responded, nothing. Sean wasn't fooled. Are you sure? His demeanor was threatening, but I responded as cool as I could muster to his intimidating stare. Yeah, of course. He took my hand saying, that's wonderful. He began to squeeze my hand until it hurt as he continued, because seeing you walk in the office while I was talking about killing that motherfucker and you not saying shit to me had me a little concerned. His grip was starting to hurt, badly. You're hurting me. As he continued, he squeezed tighter. You're pretending you didn't hear anything was a sign of your loyalty to me, not something I should be concerned with, right? I had no choice but to give him the answer he wanted. I knew I was trapped when I responded. Of course I'm loyal to you. He let me go as he responded, good. And remember, I'm the big dick. I snatched my hand back in pain. He smiled and said, let's start off with a good wine. He snapped his fingers and his favorite wine was poured for him. They knew what Sean wanted and what he wanted he got. I'm trapped. Now isn't the time for me to launch my escape plan. I have to be strategic. It's going to be hard to leave the glamour, the glitz, the lifestyle. I mean, this man just snapped his fingers at one of the most exclusive restaurants in New York City, and they poured his drink of choice. The bottle of wine is $800, and this is 1994. The list to get in this place is 6 months long if you are somebody. Mayor Giuliani has a table here tonight also. If I got up and walked out, I would be safe, but what about tomorrow? I had to think. He sipped his wine and smiled. You're not drinking? He pointed at my glass, and of course a waiter filled it. They knew what I liked as well. Sean has a bad temper. He yells sometimes, and okay, he's roughed me up once or twice, but he never punched me. He never bruised me, and he never hit Quincy. I would not have stood for that. He never laid a hand on my son. At that time, I never thought of him touching Quincy in any way. Then the significance of what he said to me hit me. Is he mad at Tupac over me? I'm the big dick. Oh my God. The last time he put his hands on me, it was because I enjoyed Jamie Foxx too much. Shit, he enjoyed Jamie too. He gets so insanely jealous. It's not fair. He wants to bring other men into the bedroom, but gets jealous when he does. Damn, you're quiet tonight, he said, snapping me back into the present. I asked the question what was burning in my mind since I walked into that office. What does Chris think of this? He looked at me coolly and said, his fat ass better just keep doing music. A third guest was escorted over by security. Sean motioned for him to sit. A waiter walked over to Sean Carter and asked, would you like something? Carter responded, no thank you, then said hello to me with a smile. Smiling, I replied, hey Carter, and took a sip of my drink. The Seans may share a bed together from time to time, but thankfully I was never asked to join. Carter went on to speak to Sean. I thought we were meeting in private. Sean replied with a nonchalant shrug. I had to discuss something with her. It's fine. Go ahead. He wielded his kind of power. Carter shifted uncomfortably in his chair before continuing. It's true. Chris and Pop were about to start their own label. Sean slammed his fist against the table, shouting, doesn't anyone have any fucking loyalty? Carter said, well, that's not happening now, right? Sean peered at Carter with distrust. Why the fuck are you so eager to share this with me? Chris is your man. Fuck, he brought you on. You're stabbing him in the back. Carter responded with indignity. First, I'm tired of being a nigga's son. I need to come out from under his damn shadow. Sean smiled slightly. Okay, I respect that. Carter kept going. On top of that, this nigga is making that move, and it should have been with me. Sean looked at Carter blankly. Pac put Chris on. You know this. What's this really about, Carter? Don't fucking try to play me. The Jay-Z of today wasn't born yet. This young Sean Carter was in over his head. Cornered. He had to spill it out. I want his spot. Ambition. Now this is a man I can work with. Sean made a grandiose gesture toward Carter. Waiter, get this motherfucker whatever he wants. Carter smiled. Thank you. Sean responded, honesty and ambition. We're going to make a lot of bread together. Carter ordered a drink as he stated again. Guess you won't be leaving with that nigga to do their own label now. Sean responded with his normal air of arrogance. Why don't you let me worry about that? I took this as my cue to escape. I told Sean I'm going to go ahead back to get to Quincy. Sean was wrapped up in his conversation with Carter and barely noticed as he excused me. Have the limo drop you off. We didn't eat. He didn't care. I smiled and kissed him on the cheek and left. Chapter 8. Kadada. Actress, model, and fashion designer Kadada Jones was Tupac Shakur's fiancée and is the daughter of record producer Quincy Jones and actress Peggy Lipton. Being around other celebrities was just part of her life. Meeting Kadada was just one of those events, and as time went on, we became close. We hung out together, went shopping, and so on. It was about the same time I met Kimora. Those were the days, or so I thought. We always had girl talk, and the fact she was dating someone I had previously been with wasn't a source of contention. We didn't get jealous of each other. It was just girl stuff. No, I did not become intimate with Kadada. Kimura was too jealous for that. Yes, Kadada knew about Kimura, Sean and I, all being together, sexually. Of course she did. We shared that kind of thing. We were open and honest with each other about almost everything. A true friendship, except I couldn't be open and honest about everything. Not anymore. Sean made sure of that. Kadada and Pot were the greatest couple. He was always so cool and, yes, sexy. She was so beautiful and fun. Before all the tension and beef, we used to all hang out together. It was always dope vibes, but with Pac shooting and the suspicion surrounding Sean and Jimmy, the vibes between Kadada and I weren't always perfect. Then came that night. Award shows aren't anything new for us at this point. We dolled up as the men groomed. We didn't choose what we wore. A stylist prepared our color palettes, and makeup artists did our makeup, and hairstylists did our hair. This was just the way of things. We shared the best stylists in the business. Sometimes we would all go to the studio for an event to get our measurements taken, but this time, Kadada seemed different. I felt like something was wrong, but when I probed her, she wouldn't say anything. Then the day of the event was here. We would all see each other inside. Even though Sean was my man, as far as props, I had nothing on Kadada. Being Quincy Jones' daughter had perks, and the superstardom was among them. Pac wasn't there. When she saw us, she came over to our table. We sat around kicking it in a very dope vibe. Sean knew he was going to clean up in this award show. He had all but taken over the East Coast musically. With all the hits, there was really no way he wouldn't. Bad Boy is Hall of Fame stuff now, and Sean P. Diddy Combs knew it. Sean smiled at Kadada as she sat at our table, but something about that smile didn't seem authentic. Soon I would know why. He's sick when he has a grudge against someone. As he sat, Sean said, "Bad Boy is gonna clean the fuck up." From his table with Faith, Chris replied, "Hell yeah. And that new shit we busting out gonna have these niggas sick." Kadada signaled for the waiter to pour her a glass of the ginger ale that sat over at her table. As the waiter refreshed her drink, she said, "Pac's music gonna get some love too." Sean grimaced. "Oh, come on, Sean. I know y'all got your differences, but you have to admit, the man makes great music." Sean looked at me over out the corner of his eye, then took another sip of his favorite cognac and replied, "Bad Boy got the hottest music in the fucking planet. But I ain't tripping. Everybody gotta get their shine, right?" Kadada sighed. "Sean, Tupac thinks you were involved with him getting shot. You two were so close. You need to make this right." Sean responded indignantly. "Why the fuck would that nigga think I had anything to do with it?" Kadada reported. "Sean, can you blame him?" Sean was obviously not happy with that question by his reply. "Hell yeah, I blame him. We had a good thing going. All of us. That nigga turned on me. And he has this fucking balls to blame me for his shooting?" The indignity he managed to spew out while lying through his teeth was something I did not expect. I was thrown back for a moment before interjecting. "Dot, do we have to do this tonight? It's Sean's big night." Kimura heard the ruckus and made her way over to our table as well. She sat down and said, "Hey, everybody," with that big dimple smile. I smiled and replied, "Hey." Kadada also seemed happy to see her, said, "Hey, what's up, Kimmy?" Kimura, never the type to hold her tongue, went straight at it. "The whole place is buzzing with the fact that you're sitting here accusing Sean of having Pac shot. Y'all kinda, loud." She laughed. Kadada seemed embarrassed as she looked around to see everybody staring and whispering, but she wasn't about to back off. In fact, she doubled down. "Anybody here not talking about it ain't real anyway. We all know Sean was behind it." Kimura forced a smile. "Honey, we don't have to do this here." Kadada made clear she was not to be silenced as she continued, "Oh, let's not hurt the feelings of Sean Puffy Combs. He only had one of the most prolific rappers in the game shot." Sean clenched his hands into fists. If this was anyone else, this would have turned ugly. But this was Quincy Jones' daughter. Sean was a monster in the streets, well feared by men that knew, but he did not want any of the smoke Quincy Jones could bring. Kadada could continue with impunity. Sean could not touch her. Christopher and Mary both wanted to defend the super producer that made them famous, Both started to stand and make their way over to the table, but Sean signaled them off with a firm motion of his hand. They remained in their seats, watching helplessly. Kadada seemed to be on a full rampage. "You're not safe in the street, Sean. You think you're untouchable?" Kimura seemed almost red in the face when she grabbed Kadada by the hand, saying, "I gotta go to the restroom." Kadada, not willing to stop, snatched her hand away, yelling, "Let go of me." Kimura needed her to get a grip and said sternly as a parent speaking to a child mid-tantrum, "Die." Kadada turned to her and yelled, "What?" Kimura nodded toward the crowded room and Kadada looked around. Here she deflated slightly. Kimura, now in control, spoke firm but softly, "Let's go powder our nose." Kadada nodded with a grimace and gave a sharp look back at Sean as she walked away. As the tension slowly melted away, I asked Sean, "You okay?" Sean didn't reply at first. He looked around, saw that no one was really paying attention now that the ruckus had died down, and stood to get the pitcher of ginger ale from Kadada's table. He poured himself a drink from it, looked around again, saw no one was paying attention, and put the pitcher under the table. What was he doing? Then I heard the distinct sound of liquid being poured into liquid. "Oh my God, is he in the pitcher?" He smiled at me as he brought the pitcher back from under the table and finally replied to me, "I'm good." He then stood and returned the pitcher to the table. I was in awe. I knew he had a bad temper, but this was disgusting. I'll never eat or drink something after we have an argument again. Kadada and Kimura made their way back to Kadada's table to sit as Sean watched on quietly. Sean made small talk. "What songs do you think they'll give me awards for?" As Kadada poured her drink, Sean's bodyguard made his way over to the table. I think he stopped her from drinking, as everyone else sat and watched. Jean risked incurring Sean's wrath, if I'm right.